Hey, it's Monday stream, and I decided to share something very interesting because a lot of the content creators are making like all these videos and things like that. I kind of stayed away from this topic, and I thought, yeah, it's not worth it, right? I stayed away from it for a very long time. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna debate anything related to religion. It's just not me, because all my life I've been raised to respect all faiths and never get into this religious politics, right? Sure, I did some self education and reading about all religions, from pagan religions to the Abrahamic religions. I did all of them, right? And I connect the dots. How does the maze work, and who came first, and who came deeper, and who expanded? Both. There was only two religions who actually expanded, right? So when I listened to I had a question from a Christian and on a Twitter, and I had that one from a Muslim too long back. So they're like, "Oh, I want to talk about Muhammad." I'm like, "Why do you want to talk about that?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna get into religious politics with you." Hold on. Like, oh, my daughter. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna get into religious politics with you, and I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, oh, we know why, because you're just nervous. You know the truth that you're like, prophet sex. I'm like, that's not the point. I'm just not gonna do it because getting deep means I'm gonna bring other things to the table too, right? Which I did. So he's like, okay, tell me about your prophet, but I really want to know. And it's like he was pushing me to the button that I really want to know, and I'm just like, fine, okay. So I showed him to the Google, and I'm just like, how much do you want to bet you're going to back out and just talk about something that everybody else talks about? So we did. So I showed him Google sources, things like that, and how things worked out, right? I showed him what the concept was. Oh my God, 1 second, guys. 1 second. Kid, sorry about that. So okay, so I literally showed him Google sources, what the concept was, because what's a religion when it doesn't match what society is doing? Okay, all the books have to match society itself. I said that before, I'll say it again. And it has to match accordingly to the time frame, from the pagan idols to all the way up to the Abrahamic religions, the time period, right? So then he's just like, oh, but stop it. You know what your Hadiths. I laugh even harder. I'm like, I know you were going to bring that up eventually because you've been manipulated by narratives from YouTube. This is why I told my Jewish friend that YouTube influenced by content creators is, how should I put it, just a show off entertainment. When you want to do real discussion, what we're about to do today, when I put on the cam video, I'm going to show sources in front of everybody's eyes that how many religions have done multiple things. It's from the pagan days, from the pagan religions where it comes from, right? And not many people like to review that stuff. So he's like, oh, but oh, Columbus wasn't a Christian. This, and it just started getting funny and funny and funny all the way down. He's like, Columbus wasn't a Christian, and like, I'm like, the Native American war was not in the Bible, so how did that happen? If this war is not in the Bible, why'd you make everybody Christian? And he's like, oh, but that's not a Christian. And then he's like, I'm like, so you're basically saying that American Christians need to be natives again? And he didn't know how to expand anymore. He's like, but look at all these child marriages. Then I showed him the early pagan religions done those child marriages from the times of Abraham. Many religions did those things, but people don't like to read about it. And then I showed him how people got raped from the Crusaders to like the Native Americans all the way up to there. So every religion does its part. I'm not just saying that religion. Islam has done it. Christianity had done it. And the pagan worshippers from the early time period, who were the pagan idol religions, they didn't do. Everybody has done it. But the only funny part is people don't like to read about it. They stick their needle into one thing. So let's get into this cam video, and I'm going to tell you where, for the first ever time, this is my first time talking about this. I don't really do streams like this, but people really asked me unusual questions that I did not want to make myself the victim card to, because I don't talk about this stuff. I respect all faith, but they really pushed my button. So let's get to it, and I am going to show it. Let's watch that video, and then I'm going to see where, for the first ever time, Cam is wrong. Let's get into it.
socially acceptable to have sex with a 9-year-old, and especially if you believe that Muhammad is a reflection of God.
Can I explain something to you really quick? There's a lot of context to what you guys are saying that is not being addressed. So if we're talking 1400 years ago, when you're talking about Aisha marrying the Prophet, okay, and having sex with the Prophet, at that time period in history, the life expectancy of humans was very different, and the age that people were having sex or getting married or having babies was a lot different than today's time period.
That's not true.
What?
Women Women were
That
actually
is true.
menstruating. It took them longer to reach the age of maturity because they didn't have as much nutrients. The age of maturity and the reaching of puberty and menstruation is actually sooner now than it was in the past.
At
Ben
that
knows more
time,
about this.
at that time in
Puberty.
Yeah, they had less nutrition. All right, I have a scientific source right here. If anyone wants to take a
At that
picture of it, go
time-
read it.
at
I have.
that time in
quotations from
Arabia,
it.
it was very normal for women to get married at that age and to have children at that time.
Well, okay,
and
first
to-
of all, if it was normal, that doesn't mean it was right, okay? We're not doing the cultural relativism, right? Just because it was normal. But if we're talking
Well, you have to take into account
biologically,
the context of the society.
these are two different claims, all right? So one is they were marrying young, which was the case in some places. Two is it's because they were maturing earlier.
Yeah.
That one is false. They were maturing later.
Well, what's right to you, what you're saying is right. Right is what's socially acceptable. That's what you're saying.
No, I don't
right
believe
now,
in- I don't
you're
believe in
saying
normal.
in our time period right now, it's not socially acceptable for children, for what you said, 14, 13-year-olds to have sex. It's not socially acceptable, right?
That's because
Yes
we
or
know
no?
more.
Yes or
That's
no?
because we
Yes
know
or no?
more about.
Yes or
That's
no?
because we know more about reality. We know that this
Yes or
harms
no?
children when you marry them off. It harms children when you marry them off. We have We have tons of evidence for this. Looking at these third world countries where they do this, it's harmful for them.
Scene, and we are going to do that with this. Sure. Child marriages, sure. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Add to the scene. Okay, so that's my screen right there. And how where did my screen go? Okay, here we go. Okay, videos. Let's see what we got. We got a couple in here. I don't know if anybody wants to watch them, but yeah. So here it is. West Bengal top, India in child marriages 9 months ago. Child marriages in India. And this is stuff you can just type in and watch on your own terms. I don't need to show on my screen, but I'm saying it. There were also arranged marriages in ancient India. How India trying to end child marriages. Yeah, that's the change. That's the change. And I'm telling you, there's many people who did that, and India has changed. It used to do these traditions, all the child marriages and stuff. It used to do all these traditions. Even though child marriage itself is from the ancient time of the pagan culture, but India's trying to end it, and many people have historically ended it years ago. But you just got to read the time period, when did it end? And not a lot of people like to do that stuff because that requires a lot of work, but it'll give you a better understanding that, hey, who has done it and who's still continuing it, because that gives you a better understanding that, hey, are you really ready to sell out your children because you have no money, or not ready to do anything, and you don't want to make your kids get freedom? Because some people are like that. Even today, they don't want their kids to have freedom. But yeah, listen away. So Cam, boy, oh boy, I don't know what he's referring to, but yeah.
It's bad for them. It hurts them. And we're
Did that
against hurting
research
children.
exist 1,400 years ago?
No, it didn't. But
So
Muhammad
people were
is the
supposed
moral
to
standard
know
for all
at that time.
Muhammad,
Yeah, this is how you know. When children are playing with dolls, you don't have sex with them. It's easy.
What?
Yeah, Aisha was still playing with dolls at the time that Muhammad consummated her.
Well, many people played with dolls. What do you expect a 12-year-old children to play with? Many people played with dolls. I just showed you sources of many religions and how old were they. Many 12-year-old or almost any year-old played with dolls. What do you expect them? There was no technology, nothing. And I showed you, whether it's that religion or Muslim religion, whatever. That's all they had, just handmade stuff, and dolls were handmade. What do you expect the children to play with them? That's a really unethical thing to say, but okay.
You don't rape children. And also, you don't just have sex with children because they've...
Rape? Oh my God, this is where I want to scream. Rape. Rape. I just laugh whenever people debate this term, rape. Rape. Let's talk about so many wars who did the same shit. The Crusaders have done it. Christopher Columbus have done it to the Native Americans before turning them into all Christians. People can read about this stuff. He literally cut Native Americans' hair. You know how Native Americans had long hair and a lot of different tradition, dressing, everything. So even Jews accepted it. So some people say he was a Catholic, and even though some say he was Jewish, whatever he was, right? So Columbus, he literally cut the natives' hair and rape the children, put them into camps. Now, if you look at the Bible, that's not in Christianity. It's not in Christianity at all. But he did it. And the Crusaders have done it. And of course, the Islamists have done it. Many people have done it. This is where I say that people need to study freaking nationalism. They have no idea what the hell they are talking about and just doing religion, politics on retarded YouTube, but they don't want to come to statistics. So, for example, the Cookie organization, right? This is an organization, it's a Christian organization, but in India. And you can ask people that why this is where the Christians and the Hindus or Buddhists, they don't get along because they go an ancient history time where the Christians fought the Buddhists and the Hindus. And yes, some Hindus even state today, from what I know, whenever we're in a private talk, they say something about Christians and things like that, oh, they're not going to treat us. And look at all the years that the Cookie organization tried to rape Hindus. So I'm not sure what he's referring to when it comes to nationalism movements. There's always going to be the concept of rape. He has no idea what he's talking about, or he has not studied enough wars in religion. Crusaders, the Cookie organization of India, the Native American War versus Christopher Columbus. All of that shit had rape. So what are you talking about, Cam? Get real, bro.
Reached maturity and started menstruating. Girls in the United States menstruate around what, 14, right? You don't have sex with 14-year-old as an adult. It doesn't matter if you're menstruating. It doesn't matter if you're mature or quote unquote.
What does that have to do with anything? Your menstrual cycle or anything? When I was in high school, right? The school that I went to, and whether the girls had their period or not, I seen young age people literally do sex at a young age, and it freaked me out because being pregnant under age 18 is against the law in America. From what I know, you cannot have a child under age 18 and things like that. It was used to be a really big of restrictions, but I've seen parents, I've seen parents let their kids get away and have sex in an age of like 11 and have children in age 11 and let them raise a child in age 11. Today, I know some of those names whose kids are just as old as they are, and they had their child in the age of 11. Could anybody believe that? So if you want to talk about menstrual cycle, then here's my example for you. How is sex okay for an 11-year-old before like the teenager age where you're actually mature enough? I've seen people do those things. I've been friends with people like that. So when you're referring to period, but it's okay to do sex in an 11-year-old and have a child, how is that freaking normal? So yeah, I disagree with him there too. He has no idea what the heck is he talking about because people have done it. I've seen children like that. I've been friends with those parents. My best friend is actually Mari Wilson, right? And I think I was like 16 when I met her in high school, right? So she had her first baby in the age of 12, and whoever this man was, I don't even know who's her new boyfriend now in the age of late of 39. Then another friend I met whose name is Carly, right? Carly used to date old age men as like a fifth grader, right? And the guys would make fun of her all the time, like, bro, you're only in the fifth grade. How could you date an old guy who's like in senior high school, or like an old age guy? He's like a senior in high school. How could a fifth grader date a guy who's a senior in freaking high school? And the guys would make fun of her all the time. That's like an old age man like guy. And today, believe it or not, Carly may be beautiful and all. She's like one of the top models from my high school days. She came out extremely beautiful and a skincare specialist in Albany, New York. I wish to see her one day when I return to New York. And yes, her husband is half her age because of that influence. Her mom did it. She did it as an adult, married a guy who's half her age. What are you going to do? Make judgments? Anything? Yeah. The guy's half her age because as a fifth grader, she would look at old age guys who are back in the senior days of high school when she's like, 10 versus a guy who's a senior. Big difference.
Unquote mature, right? You have sex when you're an adult and you're able to consent. You can't consent at 9.
I lived it, sweetheart. What are you going to tell me? I've seen people get pregnant in the age of 11. Nice statement. I've seen their children, but okay.
That applies to today's time because that's what's socially acceptable right now.
Right. I think that it should have ever been socially acceptable to have sex with a 9-year-old, and especially if you believe that Muhammad is a reflection of God. He is the messenger of God's will and word.
Messenger? Okay, this is where I laugh all the time when people are like, he's the messenger of God. He's like the biggest God or whatever. People look at him like he's the biggest thing in the world. He's just a messenger. He's not God. I can name 3 wars that is not instructed in any of the books, but people did it anyway. Literally throughout time. America came in 1776 to invading the Native Americans and turning them into Christians. That war is not in the Bible. Literally, it is not. Okay? So if you want to say something about Jesus or even bring up Judeo-term, that war is not in the Bible. And few Jews did agree with me. That's a ready-made war enforcing Christianity onto people. Okay? And in the ancient time of India, before the arrival of Islam, if you read a little bit about Christianity and how it was enforced to the Buddhist people and the Hindu people, it done the same thing. So if you want, you can look it up in the Bible that where does it say anything related that you had to fight the Buddhists or the Hindus, whatever ideology the Bible said. The only ideology it would be labeled them as is the pagans. But people turned them into Christians. And other wars, times of Spain. Spain was actually part of the ancient empire wars, which is a Christian war. Spain also launched Christianity, whatever pagan group lived in Spain. So some of these wars are in the Bible. Some of these wars are not in the Bible, but following the tradition, because Abraham was against the pagan worship of anything. Arabs were pagans too before the Abrahamic religion arrived. And yeah, all of them followed their tradition way down by converting the lands. Like Zoroastrians, you're not going to listen to Zoroastrians saying that they believe in the term Jesus. There's no such thing as a Zoroastrian Christian, but the tradition that they lived in is the days of the pagans, like idol worship. Child marriages don't exist in this generation anymore, just like how he said. India has changed. I just showed you proof. India completely erased the term child marriage. And some other countries have too, but where does it come from? It comes from the days of the pagans, and many religions have did those things. It's just people don't want to read about it, but debate like crazy, like they know everything and collect big numbers and look like superheroes. When it comes to statistics, here you go. I have it all. Nothing, and he is fully incorrect. So raping, and if you want to talk about Sharia is going to be useful to this topic, because Sharia law instructs that you have to be fair to people. You must not rip your people off, but the military nationalists did rip their people off. It doesn't matter if they ripped off the Muslims too. What the heck is a non-Muslim? They ripped off the Muslims too, and they put the girls into danger. So if she's raped, she's raped. They don't care. This is in prison, like you imprison people into torture, a jail, and then use nationalism, which is a religious movement using religion and nationalism to get what you want. There's a humongous difference. And this is what I mean, that people need to stop worshiping narratives and give statistics examples. What I'm giving on my stream, these are all statistics examples. Versus if you're going to debate for hours and hours and make an entertainment show just to entertain people, oh, look at what happened, look at that religion, can't believe they're doing it, then you clearly do not have an understanding of the early past and early pagans versus the Abrahamic religion wars. They were all conversion. People got raped. They were conquering everything. 2 types of religions, the Abrahamic religions versus the pagan religions of the early days, who they got converted to Christians and, Islam. And then, of course, the Canaanites is the only group that converted to, as we know today, Judaism. But yeah, he has no idea what he's saying, but okay.
And your God's messenger believed that it was acceptable at any time, anywhere.
Was it acceptable when KKK raped 1,000? In that Jews... Black Christians, they all got raped in the KKK. Was it acceptable when the Kuki organization, who's a Christian organization, by the way, raped Hindus? So no, he is fully incorrect. Incorrect, completely. Many religious done nationalist movements and done rape to many people. This is not one. I'm not saying Islam is. There's many. You just got to read about the wars.
anyhow to have sex with a 9-year-old, I have issue with that.
Hey, listen, when you say 9-year-old, you keep perfect, like, you're imagining a 9-year-old from today's time.
No, again, they matured slower, all right? They matured slower. There was less maturity. Hey, you in the back. Hey, you said Mary was 12. Hey, man, all right. He said Mary was 12, and he never gave the source. I just want to address what he said, because he never...
Old age Christians who are like, what, 70? They even said Mary was 12. This is, now I believe it. Before I didn't believe it at first, but now I do, where old age people say that young children have no idea what the heck they're talking about. They have no knowledge of old education in a proper format. And 90% of the content creators who I see today, well, they're young age people, but yeah, I stopped watching YouTube. This is why, because you have no idea what you're talking about. It has to match from the ancient time period, not just a retarded narrative and debate gate numbers on YouTube for hours and hours and hours without matching statistics. Everything that I showed on my screen is statistics from start to finish, what they're talking about and what the time periods have done from the pagan times to this time period. Some people have stopped, some people have not. It's that simple. I'm not saying that Islam is perfect. I never said that at all. But many religions have done this shit before. And you have to read about the wars. I just named the biggest one of all. Christopher Columbus against the natives, turned them into Christians, cut off their hair, rape them, and enforce them to turn into Christians. That's not in the Bible. But it was done. Now you want to say that Jesus instructed those things? The clear answer is a no. And many narratives were launched throughout time in the Islamic world after, especially after 1900s, when I reviewed this before and my Jewish friend understood. I didn't know how to explain it to her before, but I'm like, in order to understand the puzzle, this is strictly important. And I told her that the Zayan version of the Torah, that's faith version. The political version, and then she told me a story about, I forgot this guy's name. I have to look him up and see if I can find his documentary. He was a Jew who he was the only Jew, and he helped George Washington in something. I forgot what that was. It was the Revolutionary War or whatever, and he helped the Christians for like free or whatever. So that's where the Judeo-Christian term comes from, even though not a lot of people know that story. I forgot this dude's name. Jews probably know what it is, but I forgot this dude. So that's where the Judeo-Christian term comes from. And people are looking is when 1800s Theodor Herzl made the announcement to have a Jewish state, which we know as, well, some people call Zionism, the political form, and not the faith version from the Torah, but like the political version that, hey, Jews should have a state and the state of Israel should take place and like take its independence, basically, I should say. So after that, and when Americans granted that, when including the Brits, and then there was a militant nationalist who went against the Muslim monarchs that you were never going to support the West again ever since Jews got well granted. And that's where all these narratives come from, like Debt to America, all these things, by using militant nationalism and telling your teachers that we need to preach this in our mosque, that we need to kill these people. That Russia did it too. I want one Christian on any platform to post, where does it say in the Christian's Bible that you have to war Ukraine? No such thing. There literally is no such thing that the Bible says that you have to war Ukraine. This is a personal man-made ideology getting preached into your religion schools. If you look at the internet, you look at books, because internet technology can change within a day. If people can pay, I don't know, $600-$700 to terminate someone's content from social platforms, what makes you think they cannot pay, $600-$700 to change a ideology on a website that, hey, I want the website to state all these things. Like it's in the Quran, you have to rape people, yada, 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 all these things. Well, I'm telling you, many wars done those things. Nobody going to do blame religion. When a man is drunk, okay? When a man is drunk or does drugs, are you going to blame Christianity or are you going to blame the guy's mistakes? Drugs for that's not in the Bible, but people do it anyway and do messed up things, rape their children. My uncle, I don't really like to bring this to camera because it's a personal story, right? My aunt, okay? My aunt was widowed, and so when my uncle was a very advanced, smart man. May God bless him. He passed away years ago, and my cousins were very close to him when he died, and like how they started crying when he died, okay? So somebody gave him alcohol and drugs when doctors did his test, There were drugs in his drink and things. He was pretty much like, his educated brain was pretty much manipulated forever. He was not the same man anymore, right? So even though my aunt is not religious herself, but this has happened in her life. So after that, she tried to make it work with her husband, but it was unfortunate. He could not be cured. So then what he would do to my cousins is that sometimes, like how they say molest or whatever, since he was like drunk and messed up with the drugs and everything, he would do those things. So, and sometimes even hit my aunt. So in the end, they were forced to get, separation because of his new side effect behaviors and what he was doing. Now, even not being religious, people have done those things. I've seen many families done those things. I'm not just going to say it's a Muslim family. Christian families had their incidents too. I've seen friends cry in hallway when they would share like, oh, gee, someone beat me up, or my dad used to beat up my mother and things like that. What are you going to do? Are you going to blame the religion? Or are you going to blame your own mistakes? This is what I don't understand about people. You're debating about narratives, but you don't match historical problems that happen in life. That's what it's a paper narrative. It has to match the concept of life. What are you matching? You're just repeating the same rerun over again. Give me life examples, please. And I gave you some right on my stream. Many life examples. What are you going to blame? If your child is being molested because of someone's being drunk, are you going to blame the religion, or are you going to blame it your own mistake? Your own childish mistakes for not realizing what you're doing. And these are the things that I don't understand. But listen away to the rest of his stream.
Came back. He said Mary was 12. Oh, I'm coming back. I'm just going to make one statement, all right? Trust me. He said Mary was 12. That comes from the Gospel of Thomas, which is a later non-canonical text, and that same gospel accepts.
False. This is where another debate, when people are like, oh, that comes from the gospel. Okay, number one, let me make this very, very tight and clear so people can stop bragging about it in their public advocacy work and making it look like a drama club. It really seems like a drama club to me, personally. It is a drama club. Number one, Christianity is always going to be first because the book was delivered first. Match the numbers of the time period. Stop jumping around. Just match the numbers of the time period. Christianity is always going to be first, no matter what you do. The Christian empires were first. The Christian wars were first. Everything in the Christian book is going to be first because of the time periods of the Rome. That's way before Islam, way before everything. Now, when Christians ask me, and I told this to my friend, when you ask a Muslim about the Trinity and all this stuff, congratulations. Muslims didn't exist at the time when Jesus got crucified, but they're like, this is a faith. And I'm like, it's a faith, but how is somebody supposed to answer to you when they didn't exist? What are they supposed to tell you when they didn't see it? They didn't exist at the time. What are they going to tell you? Just a yes or no answer we do for something they never existed to? Muslims didn't exist when Jesus got baptized. Muslims didn't exist when he got crucified. None of that stuff. That time period was way later when Muhammad arrived. And the reason he's called the last prophet, because he brought the last religion. And the last religion is Islam. Christians already got their messages through Christianity. The Bible's already sent out to the globe. Christian wars are happening. Pagans are becoming Christians. That book has sailed. Christian wars have started. People began to become Christians through other lands by Christian empires. Last came Islam, and why Muhammad is called the last prophet, because he brought the last religion. So now, why when people are like, oh, but that's another Jesus, you must be kidding. So when Jesus resurrects in this time period, rather tomorrow, 6-7 years later, Muslims are going to be here when he returns. Muslims are going to be here on earth when he returns. That's why it's there. Nothing is copied. When he got crucified, when that Trinity thing that Christians believe in, Muslims did not exist. Only Jews did. Muslims didn't exist. After all the Romans, all the Christian empire wars, Christians are expanding through Spain and all the other lands, which is called a Christian empire wars on other lands. They're expanding their religion and fighting the pagans, turning them into Christians. Last religion is Islam, because that's why he's called the final prophet, because he bought the last religion. And that's for the Muslims. Yes, he may be Arab, whatever the hell he is, but it expanded through other ethnic Muslim groups like South Asia, who are part of like Persia, Baloch, Sinds, what do you call it, Punjabis, Sikhs, all these other different ethnic group Muslims, the Kurdish, these are all from the South Asian tribe. These are not from the Middle East tribe. But it expanded. It expanded, just like Christianity expanded. Christianity expanded. Jews didn't expand. Jews just sat there. Their tribes expanded, but they were there. They didn't convert any other ethnic group. It's like you're there, you're watching the show. That's all you done. You just watched the show, but you were there. That's all you done. Everything else, the ruling, the warring, everything, Christianity, Islam did that. So when you say that this is copied, this is very stupid and unethical for you. So when Jesus resurrects, where are the Muslims going to be? Are they going to be on Mars, or are they going to be on here? Are they going to be on planet Earth for his return? Or are they going to be on Mars? So what do you mean copied? If the message is not given to you that, hey, Muslims, when you're going to be on planet Earth and you're going to see Jesus come down, make sure to accept his return. So what the hell is copied? Everybody got the message he's supposed to return. So what the hell is copied? This is the stuff that I'm never going to understand, how stupid people sound at times.
Mary's perpetual virginity. So it says
What does that mean?
she might have gotten pregnant at 12, which again, it's non-canonical. We're not accepting. Hold on. It means it's not accepted as part of the biblical canon. It's not accepted as authoritative by the church.
That's interesting because Catholics have another interpretation, but that's not my problem. It's funny how he said that, but Catholics have another interpretation. Before telling a Muslim, you should have a debate with a Catholic first. My best answer to that ending. Then to debate a Muslim, debate a Catholic first. Because I sat with the spaces with people, and how, my friend Love Majewski, and she's a Catholic, and Alan, who's a Protestant, right? They don't really talk about religions, but when people ask them that how is this, they all give their own personal perspective as Christians. Is that, hey, this and this, them giving as a Protestant and one giving as a Catholic. So then to debate a Muslim, I think your best answer is to debate a Catholic, because Catholics have different interpretation too, versus what you're saying. So this is what I mean. People need serious looking what they're talking about, because 90% of the time, you have no idea what you're talking about. Before internet, there were books. And there were many wars that Americans don't know today. You just got to read about them. And many groups, like in faith, like whether it's Islam or Christianity, they're the ones who fought the pagans on all over the lands of the globe, turned them into Muslim or Christian. And the Jews didn't convert people except the Canaanites. So you need to read about this. Some of the stuff, you're right. It's not going to be in the Quran or the Bible, but it's still there, and people did it. And people need to realize that and read about it. If you're not going to read about it, but you want to debate about it and create into a drama club show YouTube, you want to debate about it, but you don't want to read sources about it, then that's just being redundant. That you want to make your content into a drama club show, but you don't want to read about statistic stuff. And I'm telling you, Buddhists, Hindus had many wars with the Christians, and the same concept, who got raped who. Native Americans and Christopher Columbus, when natives became Christians, they got their hair cut off, they were raped, they got sent to camps and things like that. That's not in the Bible, but it happened to them when Jesus did not say those things. That someone's like, last country, Columbus was not a Christian. I just started laughing because I'm like, so are you honestly going to tell me that you want to return to your native heritage? That you're suddenly saying, oh, he was not a Christian, and this is childish talk. Okay? People have done this before. That today, it amazes me when I look at Twitter, YouTube content creators, and they're like, oh, it was only Persia. Okay, you want to tell us what exactly happened to, what history did the Iranian Christians come from? What history, I know, even though I know nobody likes this guy, Nima Yemeni, I'm not going to talk about him, but the only pointer he made is that the Muslims, it's a Muslim country. Okay, there were many dynasties. Pahlavi dynasty came much, much later. And the Persian dynasty came much later. Before that, there was the Safavid and a couple of other ones. And then how the Christian empire fought the Zoroastrian religion. Christians fought Zoroastrians first through a Greek empire and two other empires. I showed that to people. That's how Christians came to birth in Iran, through those empires, by converting the Zoroastrians' religion. The Muslim came much later. Remember when I said the first term? Christians are always going to be first. Whatever land history you're going to look at, Christianity is going to be first because the religion came first. They started their wars much earlier before the Muslims left. Christianity is always going to be first. Rather you read about that land or that land or that land. It's always going to be first. Always. Because Christianity came first and Christianity's war started first before the Islamic wars. If you go through all those time periods and read all those wars, you will know who got raped and who got killed and how these empires evolved throughout time. Some Christian wars are in the Bible, some of them are not. Same for the Islamic wars, like UAE, for example. UAE, Kuwait. UAE, they say that it was part of Saudi Arabia or something. Kuwait, I know, was part of Iraq. Bahrain used to be part of Qatar. All these, you need to read about them, that what made them get independence, right? But nationalist organizations like the Nazi Germany, the Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, these are nationalist militant organizations who have raped people using religion. Read about Russia. Read about Russia, what the hell Russia was. Female were imprisoned. They were jailed. Everything, even though today people are accusing Jews for the Bolshevik, that, oh, Jews started that war, Jews ruled Russia, and Christian had to suffer it. Not my problem, but I just know it is there. Whoever did it, details like that is there. And people need to read about it. Then to sit here, grab them like, oh, but your religion says that. Okay, I just gave another example. And this is in front of my own eyes, my own friend Maria, right? She got pregnant and had her baby in the age of 11. Okay? Because her family wanted an abortion, but she didn't want an abortion. She kept the child in the age of 11. Then I gave the example of my friend Carly, who was a 5th grader, and she would look at senior boys, date the senior boys as a young 5th grader. What, you were like, what, 10, 9? And you want to date like a senior guy or a guy in college? Yeah, she wanted to do those things. And today in adulthood, she married a guy who's like half her age, and she's a Christian. And where does these childish views come from? It started with the pagan ancestry. Hindus did it, Buddhists did it, times of the Catholics and a couple of the Romans, all those other times when Christianity first took birth before Protestants and all these other faiths that came when America was established. They did it too because of the ancient times of the Romans, Greeks, things like that. You got to read about it. So telling somebody, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, it makes me laugh. You just haven't read enough about other religions. You need to read because it's there. Nothing died. Everything's there. I just showed you a whole bunch of Hindu videos when child marriages did exist in India. Today, India is something else, and they're trying to terminate the term child marriage. But it was there. So when people are like, oh, it's your religion, it just makes me laugh. Like, what is this, drama club? Just stick your needle on one damn topic and make it a drama club. Same old thing every day, another creator talks about. But when it comes to statistics, nobody's ready to talk about it. So y'all, I hope you enjoyed my stream and the sources I've shared with you along with Camster. Just so you know, don't go by social media influence. Do your own research about every single religion. Pagan religions, wars, to the Abrahamic religions. You will figure everything out. Everybody did it. Take care, y'all. My kid's yelling at the back. See ya.